following is a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Interbanks Media. Welcome to All Things Money with David Blaine, a thoughtful and revealing discussion of actionable ideas and effective strategies to help you through the complex world of investing, taxes, and real estate. Now, with All Things Money, here's David Blaine.
By now, I'm sure everyone out there has heard that Facebook went public last week, and we're going to talk about the Facebook IPO. We're going to talk a little bit about the current market environment, and we're going to give a quick lesson on econometrics. So we're glad that you tuned in today. I'm David Blaine, the host of All Things Money, here on 94.1 FM WNBU and cable TV 10 in New Bern. My hope is that you didn't get caught up in the Facebook IPO frenzy and spend $38 a share for a company valued at 100 times earnings. It was really a very high price. The investment bankers and, of course, the founders of Facebook, which I have no problem with them, cashed out and made, well, actually there's a lockup period they can't quite sell yet, but they will make quite a significant amount of money. They can't sell any of their shares, but the trade on the public market. But anyway, so Facebook, its IPO price was set at $38 a share, and of course you may have heard that there were some trading glitches and people trading early in the stock on the NASDAQ couldn't even get confirmations of their trade. But this morning, as I do the show here, Facebook is down to about $32.50 a share, which is about a 15% drop from the IPO. On the day of the IPO, it went up a little bit, but the underwriter, Morgan Stanley, had to continually buy the stock throughout the day to try to prop up that price to $38. I mean, it's a really bad thing for an investment bank if on the day of the IPO the price falls below the offering price. So they were in there, the investment bankers that offered it were in there buying the stock to keep that price propped up. Of course, right before the Facebook IPO, GM announced that it was withdrawing, I think it was $10 million worth of advertising from Facebook. And of course, there's a lot of question about how much revenue is actually generated for advertisers from Facebook. In general, we're not a big fan of IPOs. It's been proven over history that the majority of IPOs, the big money goes to the people that actually sold the stock, the insiders of the company, and that the investing public does not do well in IPOs. Now, once a company has been trading for a while and you have a couple of years of public financials, it may be a different story. But anyway, for now, we would stay away from Facebook. Before we move on to the next story, we're going to talk about something very simple. 1 + 1 = 2. This is a great thing that I want to talk about, but we want you to know that if you have any comments or questions on the show, you can get in touch with us. Our phone number is 252-633-0107. Our email is allthingsmoney@dlblaine.com. And of course, you can visit us on the web at www.dlblaine.com. There you'll find information about myself, my firm, as well as archived copies of the show. Well, I had to go way back for this topic. It's called A First Lesson in Econometrics, and it comes from the Journal of Political Economy, written by a man named John Siegfried of the University of Wisconsin back in 1970. And I came across this in not only in our profession, financial advisors, so much jargon thrown around and so many terms, but we try to simplify it for people and talk in terms that normal people can understand. Try to simplify finance. And if you think finance people are bad, then you get into the economists and the government people about the economy and politicians and the way this thing works, and it just gets completely confusing. And this was a great thing. This economist, Mr. Siegfried, wrote, everybody in econometric must learn that early that it is never in good taste to express the sum of two quantities in the form 1 + 1 = 2. So what this little essay does is that he says if you're an economist, you can't just come out and say 1 + 1 = 2. It's way too simple. You've got to obscure the thing and make it sound complicated. Otherwise, why would anyone listen to you if it was as simple as 1 + 2? So he goes on to say that you never say 1 + 1 = 2. Any student of economics is aware that 1 equals the natural logarithm of e. And further, that 1 equals the sine squared plus the cosine squared. And it is obvious to the casual reader that 2 equals the sum of 0 to infinity over 1 divided by 2 to the n power. And this is, you got to read this article. It's kind of hard to get across on the radio or TV. But there's a lot of equations on this page, if you can see that sheet. And it goes on to talk about, he keeps transforming the equation 1 + 1 = 2, and he uses the logarithm of e and sine and cosine and square roots and things like that. And then he says, of course, if we note that 0 factorial = 1, and recall that the inverse of the transpose is the transpose of the inverse, we can unburden ourselves of the restriction to one-dimensional space by introducing the vector x. And so he goes on, and so at the end, he reduces the equation of 1 + 1 = 2 to the sum of n of 0 to infinity by the cosine of the square root of 1 minus the tangent of h squared divided by 2 to the n power. And he says, at this point, it should be obvious that equation 12, that big long thing, you probably can't see that, but that big long equation there, is much clearer and more easily understood than equation 1, which was 1 + 1 = 2. Other methods of a simpler nature could be used to simplify equation 1, but these will become obvious once the young econometrician grasps the underlying principles. It's just a great lesson for people in finance, myself included, but to the general population, that my message is that when you're reading articles or watching TV or some so-called expert and they start going way in the weeds about something very, very complicated, a lot of times they're not able to further explain anything, but because they get a fee for going on TV or they're a consultant, they feel like they have to come up with stuff like this instead of just saying 1 + 1 = 2. But anyway, if you'd like a link to this article, it's really kind of funny, especially if you have any sort of math aptitude. It's really a great little article. We'll be glad to send you a link. Just email us at allthingsmoney@dlblaine.com or contact us through the web at www.dlblaine.com. And of course, you can give us a call at 633-0107. Well, in the next segment, we're going to talk about what's going on in the markets. Is the summer going to be more like the past month, or is a change in store ahead? So for All Things Money, I'm your host, David Blaine, and we'll be right back after a few short messages.